Imagine driving home with your friend. You guys are having a great time. All of a sudden, you see the red and blue disco lights flashing behind you. You pull over, too worried. You know you didn't do anything wrong. Maybe a minor traffic violation. Maybe you're going a little bit too fast. You pull over in a nice way. Two officers get out. And for whatever reason, they have your passenger get out of the car. He's gone for a few minutes. Another officer walks up to you, the driver, and says, "Hey, your friend confessed to everything. I'm giving you the chance to come clean." And you have no idea what he's talking about. Well, you start thinking, and then maybe you start talking about things you shouldn't be talking about. Or you agree to let the officer search the car because you want to prove to him you've got nothing to hide. Listen, that is a trap. There are all sorts of psychological traps. Cops hope you never learn. Innocent people confess every single day, not because they're guilty, because they do not understand the psychological tactics police use against them. And we are going to discuss the 7 most common ones right now. Trick number 1, the false promise of leniency. And I see this a lot because it's effective and it's dangerous tactic used by the police. A police officer, a detective, anyone will say, "Tell me what happened and I'll make sure the prosecutor goes easy on you." And it sounds like a deal. It sounds like a lifeline. But here's the truth. Police cannot make deals. That's only for prosecutors. Police cannot promise leniency because that's not their job. It's the prosecutor, possibly the judge's role to determine sentence or recommend sentence. Police cannot promise leniency because that's not their job. That's the prosecutor's job. And if you go to an open type sentencing, it's possibly the job of the judge. The police cannot influence your charges. The prosecutor is the one that files charges, not the police. I see this constantly. People get in trouble and they call me and they say, "Hey, Mark, I know the prosecutor's being difficult, but I need you to contact them because the officer told me he'd go easy on me." Officers are allowed to lie. There's tons of other videos I've done, other attorneys have done. Officers can lie to your face. And I still go to the prosecutors all the time. "Hey, deputy prosecutor, how you doing? You look like you lost some weight. Oh my gosh, your hair looks amazing." Police officer said that he would put a good word in for my client. And the prosecutors look at me like this. "Your client's guilty. What does the officer have?" And they don't care. I'm telling you right now, they don't. Do not fall for a police officer, a detective, whatever. Any promise of leniency, it's a lie. They're allowed to lie to you. I know that sounds crazy, right? But they're allowed to lie. Don't fall for the promise of leniency. Trick number 2, using your passenger or friends against you. If you're pulled over with someone else in the car, the officers will almost always separate you, and they'll talk to you in private, and they'll say something like, "Look, your buddy already told us everything. He said you were driving and you had stuff in your car you shouldn't have." Then they go to your passenger and they tell them the exact same lie about you. This is called divide and conquer, and it has nothing to do with the truth. They're trying to create panic, guilt, and mistrust so that you start talking. So here's a rule. Don't guess, don't explain, and don't try to beat your passenger's story. Your silence protects both of you. Trick number 3, good cop and bad cop. One officer storms in. He's yelling. He's towering over you. He's threatening you. And then he leaves. And then suddenly here comes the reasonable one. They offer you water, maybe a snack. And they quietly say, "I don't think you're a bad person. I want to help you. Just tell me what really happened and it'll go easier on you, or I'll put a good word in for you." Feels like you found an ally, but listen to me clearly. They are on the same team. This is a choreographed performance. Pressure followed by relief, designed to make you bond with the nice officer. And once you do, you'll start talking. I see this happen in interrogation rooms all the time. Indiana has a rule. If you're in custody and being interrogated at the police station, it needs to be recorded. So I'll see this. Officers being real compassionate, people being extra kind to these people. "Hey man, you just talk to me about it. You make this, try to figure this out. Hey man, I don't feel like this is you, but just explain to me what happened. Hey man, I could tell you're a good person. Things probably got out of hand. Need you to let me know what happened so I can understand where you're coming from. I don't want you to go to jail the rest of your life." These officers saying that, people just start talking. And as the officer leaves, you can even hear him saying, "Sucker, he fell for it." Please do not fall for this good cop, bad cop. It is a trick to get a confession out of you. And they don't really care if it's a real confession or fake confession. Because once they got the confession, case closed in the officer's mind. Please don't fall. Trick number 4, illegal demand for an ID. You're walking down the street, minding your own business, an officer stops you and immediately asks for your ID. Most people hand it over immediately. Oh, absolutely, officer, whatever you need. But legally, the officer has no right to demand it. Now, if you're driving and you get pulled over for a traffic violation or infraction, you're going to have to give your ID because it's part of driving. Don't come at me with the right to travel. I will shut you down so fast. Right to travel has nothing to do with the driver's license. Please believe me on that. Now, if you are arrested, well, if you don't give them your ID, let them know who you are, you're probably not going to be given bond. And some states do have laws where if you arrest, you have to give them ID, let them know who you are. But research that. But if you're just walking down the street and an officer says, hey, give me your ID, instead of giving your ID, you should simply say, am I free to leave? And if he says, yes, leave. Don't give him your ID, walk away. If he says no, well, then you know you're either having a carry stop or some sort of arrest. So please, at that situation, follow your state's laws. But if you're free to leave, you do not need to give your ID. And you should be super hesitant about giving your ID to a police officer. So please check your state's laws. Even the states that have a stop and ID, the officer still typically has to have a reasonable suspicion you've been involved in. Can't go wrong. Am I free to leave? Great, it's like a magic word. Trick number 5, using your past against you. Officers love bringing up your past, especially if you've been arrested before. They'll say, just like what happened a few years ago. Or, people like you don't change. Or, come on, man, you've been in trouble before. You know how this goes. Statements like these have one purpose: to make you feel doomed, to make you believe you'll never be believed, to push you into confessing out of hopelessness. But your past is not evidence. It does not prove your guilt, and it really does not justify a confession. Keep that in mind. Trick number 6, the dog alert trick. You say no to searching your vehicle. And good, you should never agree to let anybody search your vehicle. Then the officer says, fine, we're calling a canine in. And the dog arrives, circles the car, he barks, lifts his paw, sits, whatever the clue or cue the officer has for that particular dog. And the officer smiles and says, the dog alerted. Now we have probable cause. Here's the part they may never tell you. Many dogs respond to subtle cues from their handlers. The dogs want to make the handler. Dogs don't care what's in your vehicle. They care about making their handler happy. They want that treat. And when the dog notifies of some sort of drug or contraband in the vehicle, they sit down and look at their handler. And the handler gives them a treat. That's what the dog is doing. He wants that treat. Dogs are smart. I love dogs. Dogs know, hey, the more I notify or hit on something, I'm going to get more treats. My dog's the same way. So listen, don't be freaking out if that happens. The dog barks or hits. That's their rubber stamp because they want a treat. Now, there's a case, USB Rodriguez, they can't delay a traffic stop to get a drug dog onto the scene. So if they do bring a drug dog after you've already told them, hey, I don't agree to a search, hold fast. And if they tell you, hey, we're searching, say, I don't consent to a search. Don't fight the police officer on the street. Don't do that. It's not going to go all well for you, I promise. But try to record if you can. At the very minimum, keep saying, I do not consent to a search. I want to leave a long time ago. Make those statements known. And if they bring a dog, don't fight it. But understand they can't delay that trick. And sometimes police will even just use the threat of bringing a dog to get you to consent to search. Don't do that. You're going to tear your car up if they search that. And they're going to leave all your stuff on the side of the road. And they're going to leave. And you're going to be sitting there like a chump. Put things back in your car. Do not consent. Please search your car. Trick number 7, the fake emergency warrantless entry. Now, this one drives me nuts. You're at home. The police are knocking on your door. There's no probable cause. There's no warrant. But the officer wants in. And you say no, which is your right. You don't have to answer that door. All of a sudden, you're at the door. And you cannot open your door because you're smart. But you can hear them. Their radio goes off. And they say something like, oh, we're getting an anonymous tip about violent activity at this address. And the officer says, we have to enter. It's an emergency. But did you notice something? You didn't hear the call. You didn't hear the dispatcher. You only heard the officer. Some officers invent fake emergencies called exigent circumstances to justify a warrantless entry. The bottom line is, if officers do not have a warrant, do not need to let them. You simply say, I do not consent to any search. I do not consent to you being in my property. I want you to leave. You stay calm and let them look like the bad guy. Now, if they bust your door down because they say they're exigent circumstance, hope already have your phone recording the situation, that's still a rights violation. It's not a true emergency. And there's other videos on that. I'll put the link below, but it has to be a true emergency for an officer to justify a warrantless entry. Don't put up with it. Record it if it does happen. These 7 psychological tactics are designed, you talking, possibly confess the things you didn't do. So what's the solution? Number 1, remain calm. Every single one of these, remain calm. And then I plead the 5th, I want a lawyer, I do not consent to a search. Every single one of those statements is amazing. They're so powerful because it puts a stop the most the shenanigans officers try. Again, keep that in mind. Now, if you've watched this far, you must like me a little bit. Come on. I really want you to subscribe to my channel. I want you to like this video, and I want you to leave me a comment. Officers should be able to come into someone's home anytime they want. Hope you don't write that, but if you do, that's awesome. I'm hoping you write something like, best video I've ever watched. Thank you so much. That's the kind of comments I want. I read every single comment. I try to respond to all of them. Get really busy during the day, but I do read them, and I love reading them in the morning, usually while drinking my coffee. And only one time I read a comment so funny, I spilled my coffee on my screen. My wife literally came in shaking. So please, I love funny comments. But if you're facing charges in the great state of Indiana, give me a call. I would love to talk to you about your options. But most importantly, always play the